Psalm 91 like you've never been told. The story that reveals its hidden power. Have you ever felt like something invisible was watching over you when everything seemed to be falling apart? Have you stood on the edge of danger and come out unscathed, as if a heavenly hand had protected you? What you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's a revelation based on one of the most powerful psalms in the entire Bible. Psalm 91, a story of faith, darkness, miracles, and a promise that could change your life forever. Before we begin, if you love soul-touching stories like this, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these faith-renewing stories. God has a message for you today, the secret refuge. When night falls and silence wraps everything around, Thomas lights a candle beside his sick mother's bed. Shadows dance on the walls, but his heart pounds with fear. Weeks without sleep, without proper food, without hope. The medicine isn't working, the money ran out, and the doctors gave her only hours to live. But in the midst of the pain, Thomas remembers the words his grandmother spoke when he was just a boy. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. That night, with the Bible in his trembling hands, he opens Psalm 91 and begins to read aloud, a whisper fighting to chase away death. And then something happens. The candle, about to go out, flares back to life. A gentle breeze slips in through the closed window, and his mother, barely breathing moments before, opens her eyes and smiles, as if something or someone just entered the room. The shadow of the Almighty. Thomas can't believe it. His mother's breathing becomes slower, deeper, more alive. He kneels at the foot of her bed, tears streaming down his face, and with a choked voice he reads again, I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Psalm 91 verse 2. Outside, the sky fills with black clouds. A storm is approaching, but inside that humble house, something far more powerful is happening. A gentle warmth surrounds Thomas. It doesn't come from the candle, nor from his mother's fevered body. It's as if an invisible presence has descended from heaven, as if the Almighty himself had chosen to dwell there, under that humble roof, with the soul of a young man broken but steadfast in faith. Suddenly, Thomas feels he is not alone. He sees nothing with his eyes, but his spirit senses it. Angels like walls surrounding the bed, invisible hands touching his mother's chest. A whisper, not his own, reciting the words of the psalm alongside him. In that moment, Thomas understands it's not just an ancient text. It's not just sacred poetry. It's a living promise, a real shield, a supernatural refuge. And when his mother looks at him and whispers, with a weak but clear voice, Thomas, he is here. The young man knows the battle has begun, but he will not fight it alone. The night terror. Dawn falls like a dark cloak, and thunder roars in the sky. The small house creaks with every lightning flash. Thomas hasn't slept. His mother seems to be resting, but something unsettles him. He feels a weight in the air, an invisible pressure, as if something dark wants to come through the door. He remembers another verse. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Psalm 91 verse 5. The words wrap around him like a shield. But then, the neighborhood dogs begin to howl. A heavy knock shakes the front door. Thomas jumps. He runs and bars it with a wooden beam. He looks out the window. There is no one there. Only rain. Only wind. But fear tries to slip in through the cracks. Then he gathers courage. He goes to his mother, places a hand on her, and with the other lifts the Bible. I am not afraid, he says aloud, because God has promised me refuge. And as he recites the psalm once more, the lights flicker, and in the midst of the storm, his mother's face lights up as if heaven itself had descended upon her. The thunder fades away. Peace returns. The night terror could not touch what was under the shadow of the Almighty. That night, Thomas understands there are invisible battles, but there are also heavenly armies fighting for those who trust in the Lord. The arrow that flies by day. The storm has passed, but the danger hasn't. The next morning, Thomas goes into town to find urgent medicine. He has no money, but his faith burns like fire. With the Bible in his pocket, he walks through dusty streets and wary glances. It's a neighborhood forgotten by the authorities, where desperation has turned many into thieves. Just a few steps before reaching the pharmacy, 3 men block his path. "What are you carrying there?" they ask, their tone threatening. "Just my Bible," he answers, truthful and steady. One of them pulls out a knife. Thomas feels the sun's heat, but fear's chill runs down his spine. And then he remembers, "Nor the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday." Psalm 91 verse 6. He raises his voice, unsure where such courage comes from. "I will not fear what they can do to me, because God is my shield." At that moment, something happens. One of the attackers steps back. He looks at Thomas as if seeing something behind him. "Did you see that?" he says to the other. "There's someone with him. Let's get out of here," the leader shouts, and the 3 run away. Thomas stands still, sweating, breathing hard, but unharmed, protected. And when he reaches into his pocket to touch his Bible, he finds a white, clean feather, as if an angel had passed by. God had protected him from the arrow that flies by day. And Thomas understands. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was the faithfulness of a God who keeps his word. 1,000 may fall at your side. Thomas returns home with the medicine, but something isn't right. Outside, neighbors are gathered, faces sad, eyes dimmed. The plague has reached the neighborhood. One tells him, "Many are falling ill, and some don't wake up." Thomas runs into his house. He opens the door. His mother is still lying down, but she breathes calmly, serenely, as if the evil could not touch her. He falls to his knees and, with a firm voice, recites, "1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you." Psalm 91 verse 7. That day, ambulances come and go. Sirens wail nonstop. The virus has spread like wildfire. Sick neighbors, overwhelmed hospitals. But in Thomas's small house, peace reigns. Even the doctors, when they visit, can't explain it. "She should be critical," one says, "but her vital signs are better than ours." "What did you do?" asks another. Thomas only points to the open Bible on the table. God is watching over her. That night, he decides not to sleep. He sits on the edge of his mother's bed, watches the candle burning, and keeps reading the psalm. Every word becomes a sword, a shield, a fortress. And though many fall around him, he understands that the shadow of the Most High knows no limits. You will see the reward with your own eyes. That early morning, Thomas begins to fall asleep, Bible in hand. But something wakes him, a soft light that does not come from the candle. When he opens his eyes, the room is filled with radiance. His mother sleeps deeply, but no longer looks sick. Her face radiates peace. And then Thomas sees it. A white figure with a serene face and eyes like fire appears at the foot of the bed. It is not an ordinary man. It does not walk. It floats. It does not speak with words. It transmits peace with its very presence. Thomas falls to his knees, trembling. but the celestial being extends a hand to him. "Your faith has been credited as righteousness," it says. "You have dwelt under the shelter of the Most High, and you will see with your own eyes the reward of the righteous. Surely you will see it with your eyes, and behold the reward of the wicked." Psalm 91 verse 8. The figure shows him what is happening outside the house. It reveals those who mocked his faith and scorned prayer, falling without protection. But it also shows others humble who prayed in secret and who were also cared for, even without knowing it. "Many think they are alone," the being says, "but every time a heart trusts, heaven moves." Thomas weeps, not out of fear, not out of pain, but because his soul has touched the eternal. Because now he understands he was not just reading a psalm. He was unleashing a real promise. When the radiance fades, he remains on his knees. The candle still burns, and his mother begins to wake. "Because he has set his love on me." That morning, Thomas's mother opens her eyes. She smiles. She doesn't need to speak for him to understand. She has been healed. She slowly sits up in bed. She takes her son's hand and, through tears, whispers, "I dreamed of angels, of a place of light. They told me it was not my time yet, because you had prayed." Thomas squeezes her hand and opens the Bible again. Right at the verse he now understands with all his heart. "Because he has set his love upon me, I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name." Psalm 91 verse 14. That day, the whole neighborhood hears the testimony. Doctors, neighbors, even the very men who threatened him, come close to listen. And Thomas, no longer afraid, but with authority, proclaims, "God delivered me. God lifted her up, not by my strength, but because I trusted in his name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him." Psalm 91 verse 15. His mother walks around the house. She breathes deeply. She sings an old hymn with a new voice. The plague still rages outside, but that house has become a living altar, a flame of hope, a testimony that God's word never returns void. And as the sun sets, Thomas looks out the door, gazes at the sky, and whispers, "Thank you, Lord. You didn't just save me. You gave us new life, with long life and salvation." Days passed. Hospitals began to empty. The sirens stopped sounding. The town slowly came back to life, but something had changed in many hearts. In Thomas's small home, each day begins the same way, with prayer and reading Psalm 91. It's no longer just a routine. It is an inheritance, a covenant between his family and God. His mother, once fragile and near death, now walks strong, helps neighbors, and shares her testimony. Thomas, only 13 years old, has become a spiritual guide for many. People from all around come to hear him read the psalm. And in his heart, the last lines of the promise echo. "With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation." Psalm 91 verse 16. One afternoon, as the sun sets and shadows grow long, Thomas looks up to the sky. He remembers the figure of that angel. He remembers the peace that filled his home, and a soft, inner voice tells him, "I will still do great things with you. This was only the first display of my power." Thomas smiles. He closes his Bible and runs to hug his mother. Now he knows, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High lives under the heavens, even while walking upon the earth.